Hey, what's up guys? I'm going to show you how to find a p-value using a TI-84 graphing calculator when you do a significance test. Remember the significance test, you have two hypotheses and you're trying to find evidence against the null hypothesis. So we need the p-value to say if we reject the null hypothesis or fail to reject the null hypothesis. So this example here, I'm just going to read it. It says, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, website, 50% of high school students have never smoked cigarettes. So that's one of the numbers we're going to use, 50%. Tom wonders whether this national result holds true in his large urban high school for his AP Statistics class project. Tom surveys an SRS of 150 students. So that's another number that we are going to use, and it is an SRS of 150 students from his high school. He gets responses from all 150 students, and 90 say they have never smoked. So 90 students have never smoked a cigarette. What should Tom conclude? Give appropriate evidence to support your answer. So the significance test, we do have 4 different steps, and I'm not going to do all 4 steps. I'm just going to show you how to use the graphing calculator to find what you need. But you guys do need your states, the hypothesis. So that's step number 1. You are going to plan what method you're going to use, and you have to write it down. And then you're going to do the work to find the z-scores and the p-value. And it's always a good idea to draw a density curve to represent the area under the curve for the p-value. And the last step will be your conclusion, or you conclude. So when you guys are doing your significance level or your hypothesis test, significance test, you guys need to know what is the alpha level. We want to use that alpha level so we can use the p-value to say if we reject or fail to reject. This problem doesn't mention anything about an alpha level or significance level. So when it's not mentioned in the problem, the alpha level we're going to use is going to be 5%, or as a decimal, 0.05. Also, in my state step, you need to write your 2 hypotheses. So I'm going to do that right now so I know what I need to test. I have my new hypothesis, which we use H0, and that's going to be my parameter, and we're using a proportion, so we need to use P is equal to the claim. Now if we go back to the actual problem, it says that the CDC website says 50% of high school students have never smoked. So that's the claim. My claim will be 50%. As a decimal, that's going to be P. So as a decimal, my p-value is going to equal 0.50 or 0.5. Now, Tom is not mentioning if he thinks it's higher in his high school or in his school or lower. He says he's wondering if this result holds true. So he's not really saying it's more or less. So the alternative hypothesis will be not equal to 0.50. When the person that's doing the survey or they are collecting data, if they say more than the national average, or not average, proportion, the more than, higher than 50%, or maybe less than or above or below, then we have to use a greater than or a less than for the alternative hypothesis. Right now, since it's not really clear, it doesn't say more or less, it just says, well, does it hold true? Well, it's stating that it's just not equal to. So when you guys have your null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis, you're going to plan. So this one is going to be a 1 proportion. I'm going to write that down because we do need to know what we're going to use in the calculator. So this is a 1 proportion z test. We're using a test because we are making or we are carrying out a significance test. So that's what we're going to use in the calculator. You guys need to check your conditions. That's in your plan. You guys say the method you're going to use. You're going to check the conditions, and then you guys are going to do the work. Now, to do the work in the calculator, well, we're going to need this number. So keep in mind what is the claim. So the claim is that 50% of high school students have never smoked. When you guys go to the calculator, you guys are going to go to the stats button right here. you guys go to the test tab right there, and you're going to choose a 1 proportion Z test. That's what we're doing, where we have one proportion. We have one survey proportion Z test. So you guys choose that one, and they do ask for P sub 0, which is the claim. So I already have this set up in the calculator, but my P sub 0 will be your null hypothesis. So 0.5 goes in the calculator. X will be the number of successes from the survey or from the sample. Now when you guys go back to the actual question, they say that 90 say that they have never smoked. So that's your X. How many actually said they never smoked? 90 students. My sample size is an SRS of 150, and just to show you guys, it's right here, 150. Now the next one, you really have to be careful because you guys have 3 options. We have, for the alternative hypothesis, not equal, we have a less than, and we have a greater than. So you have to really be sure which alternative hypothesis you are going to use. Right now we have a not equal. So this means a two-tailed test or two-sided test. The teachers, they use different names. So they mean the same thing, two-sided or two-tailed test. So right now I need to use not equal to the P sub 0, which is your alternative hypothesis. So this not equal to, once again, is from your alternative hypothesis. You calculate, and it gives you guys right here. They tell you what you use, so not equal to 0.5. Yep, that's what we have in the alternative hypothesis. My C-score is 2.449, so I'm going to write that down because that's information that we need. So my C-score is 2.449. If you guys want to round to 2 decimal places, that's okay. So 2.45. I use 3. The next one, so 3 is fine. The next one will be your p-value. That's what we need for our evidence. So my p-value, and this one I like to round to 4 decimal places. When we have probability, p-value is a probability, 0.0143. So I'm going to write that down. My p-value is 0.0143. Now, when you guys look at p-hat, well, you guys can say p-hat is 0.60. You don't really need to write that down in your response. And we also have our sample size of 150. But the information that you get from the calculator, you guys now can conclude. So I'm going to draw a density curve so you guys understand what is a two-tailed test. So from the density curve, you're going to use the C-scores. And remember that the density curve is symmetrical. So the 0 is in the middle. Positive 2, I'm looking at the C-score right here. So positive 2.449 is around here. So since this is symmetrical, I am also going to have a negative 2.449. So the two-tailed test is when you guys are looking for the areas on the tails. And we have 2 tails. The sum of this area right there and this area right there, the sum of those 2 values, which is the area, is going to equal 0.0145. So if you guys use a table, not a calculator, well, you need to find the area of one side. So usually we look for the one on the left side, and then you guys multiply that by 2 because we have 2-sided, and you guys will get this p-value. Now what does it mean when we have this p-value and you guys are testing using an alpha level or significance level 0.5? This value right here is less than this one. So 0.0143 is less. So that means that you guys will reject. When the p-value is less than alpha, you reject the null hypothesis. So for my conclusion, I'm just going to put a note right here. You are going to reject H naught. So if you guys are rejecting, if you guys are saying, you know what, nope, I'm not accepting this, but we never use that word, we should say reject. That means that we are accepting the alternative hypothesis. So we reject the null hypothesis and we are accepting this one. So in Tom's high school, the proportion is not equal to 0.50. It might be higher, it might be less, we're not sure, but we know that it's not equal to 0.50, and that's what is the claim. 50% from the website CDC, they claim that 50% of the students, high school students, have never smoked. So with the calculator, you guys can find all those values that you guys need to make a conclusion, but also guys, make sure you also know how to write every single step and how to answer your question. You guys need to organize, you guys need to write what you need, and make sure you guys also check the conditions. You have 3 conditions to check. You guys do the work and everything else. So this concludes my video. If you guys like it, you guys can click that like button. Also, you guys can subscribe to my channel, and if you guys know anyone that needs help on how to use the graphing calculator for statistics, let them know about my YouTube channel. Make sure you guys practice, and I'll see you guys later.